got to admire Monken for saying what he feels. Got to admire Jared Verse for actually saying what he feels. The guy's he's going into his third year in the NFL, gets drafted by the Rams in the first round, goes out to L.A., becomes the Defensive Rookie of the Year and makes the Pro Bowl, and then last year in year number 2 makes the Pro Bowl, and then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, hey, you're being traded for Myles Garrett and you're going to the Cleveland Browns. And Jared Verse came to Cleveland yesterday, sat down in front of the media, and was asked all about being traded for Myles Garrett to the Cleveland Browns, and boy, was he honest.
It caught me by surprise. I loved LA. I loved the coaches, the organization, my teammates, everybody a part of it, the staff, the fans. I love the whole vibe of LA, Los Angeles, the Rams, and it was upsetting. I was upset for a good little bit of time. But when you're an athlete, you understand the nature of business. Everybody does what they think is best for their business, and that's the situation that I'm in. I'm happy to be a part of the Browns. I'm happy that they believed in me and they were able to make that trade and bring me here. Be with my teammates, be with everybody here, and I truly do believe in everybody in the locker room. But it was upsetting at first. But you got two choices: that you can either work or you can give up, and I ain't never been a quitter.
It's honest.
Of course, it was upsetting at first.
Of course, it was.
Yeah.
Who wants to get your life turned upside down?
Well, there's also the fact that the Rams entered this season, or were going to enter this season, as one of the Super Bowl favorites.
Oh, yeah, that's knocking on the Super Bowl door.
Yeah. He has the internet.
In other words, he knows what the Browns did last year.
He has a TV.
Wait a minute. They had Myles Garrett, and they won 5 games?
Yeah. He knows that they don't have a quarterback in Matthew Stafford.
He has a TV.
Like, come on.
I give the guy credit for. I mean, he could have said, "Boy, this is a great opportunity," and blah 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 blah, right out of the chute. But he was honest. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. The only thing that he said that I thought is that a problem for the Browns is when he said, "I loved the LA vibe." I love Cleveland. When I was able to get a job in Cleveland, I didn't look for a job outside of Cleveland, and I haven't since I've been here.
Yeah.
I'm from here.
There are a lot of people like that, actually.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Apparently, he liked the LA vibe. Cleveland has a vibe, but it's not the LA vibe.
Of course not.
So I hope he's okay here. He's got Midwestern roots, high school in Pennsylvania, which is close to the Midwest. Spent time born in Dayton and grew up in the area. If you were thinking, hey, it's a great big homecoming, when he answered, yeah, most of my family's in Phoenix now, I thought, okay. Well, that didn't work.
He's like, let me distance myself from that storyline, okay? This isn't hometown kid coming to rescue the Browns.
No. I mentioned to Andy yesterday, and so he just said he was upset, right, about the trade. And I said, you get traded for Myles Garrett, but you've got to think if you're Verse, I'm sorry, 2 years in the league, I'm like 25, and I went to the Pro Bowl twice. Mm-hmm. I'm steamed, and I'm gonna be mad, and I'm gonna show you what I can do. And he was asked about that a little bit in cut number 6.
It's a different type of feeling. I've always been doubted my whole life. Out of high school, I had the one offer, going into college. And, leaving college, I was less doubted, but, still had the little chip on my shoulder and everything like that. It definitely puts a chip on my shoulder. When I was with the Rams, I was still learning how to play DN, still learning how to be a football player, NFL player, and how to play at this next level. And the Browns, got me. Now I feel like they're going to get the best of me. They're not going to get a half-finished project or something you got to work on. This is work here. This is going to be the best version of me. That's everything I've done this offseason. It's going to be great.
It's interesting because everybody's going to look at it their own way. And you can't sit here and tell somebody how to look at it, right? But I was just talking in the last segment about Evan Mobley. Is it disrespectful to talk about Evan Mobley in a potential trade for Giannis? It's Giannis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For Jared Verse.
It's a surefire Hall of Famer.
You were traded for Myles Garrett.
Surefire Hall of Famer.
It's not like you were traded for Alex Wright. No offense to Alex Wright, but he hasn't accomplished the things that Myles Garrett has. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I don't know. Obviously, he's somebody who has a chip on his shoulder. He just said that he's been doubted along the way.
Yeah, no real offers coming out of high school. He went to Albany.
Yeah, I think those things will follow him more and work as a chip on his shoulder more than, I can't believe you traded me for Myles Garrett. What were you thinking? I just don't see it that way. And I can't imagine he sees it that way either. It's Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I can't either. He showed up, okay, you're traded, you show up. Myles showed up in L.A., and he went out on the practice field. He was wearing number 8, which, again, at least right now, he's legally not allowed to wear in the NFL. We'll see what the Browns do there, and somebody else has number 8. That doesn't matter. But he was out on the practice field, and he watched the Browns practice, and he kept talking about the boys flying around out there. But he said something that I want to hear what you think about this. Let's hear what he had to say in cut number 5.
You can tell how a team is by how they practice. You see losing teams practice terribly. You see great teams practice amazingly. It translates. That's not a losing team out there. The way everybody was moving, I didn't get to get into the team situations today. That's going to be another day. But the way the boys are moving, this isn't a losing team. Nobody's moving around like they're slow, like they're feeling sorry for themselves. People are moving like with intent, like they are not going to miss the opportunity to play in January, to play in February, to play in that big game.
Maybe he doesn't have a TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, good night, everybody. There will be no better line today.
I just have a feeling that one's going to age like milk.
He just kept, and it cracked me up because he kept going and going and going with, man, those guys flying around out there. Yeah, they're flying. I like this. They're flying around out there. And I thought, okay, have you seen the offense?
Yeah.
That's, because the defense is pretty good.
You know who else flies around? Flies around a little bit better? Baltimore.
Yeah, well.
You know who else flies around? Probably flies around a little bit better? Pittsburgh. There are other teams, too.
They fly around.
There are levels to this, Jared.
Rams flew around.
Yeah.
Can I point out something that people aren't going to want to hear?
Sure. That's why we're here.
We've heard comments like this before about practice, about how hard the team was working, and this practice looks different than any other practice. You want to know the last time we heard that? It was when Freddie Kitchens was the head coach.
PTSD.
Thanks, MK.
How do you think
I told you, no one's going to want to hear this, but when I was listening to the way, all the beat reporters talking about practice, and I'm like, this feels like 2019. This feels like the way they talked about practice when Freddie Kitchens was named the head coach.
I kind of had that same kind of feeling. I don't know if it was Freddie Kitchens, but it's when the new guy comes in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is different. This is good. This is fresh.
That's what we're thinking about Todd Monken now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, listen to the way this guy talks. All right, well, we don't know what that means when it comes to coaching.
Yeah,
but we know what it sounds like when he talks.
On the side, Dylan Gabriel's got to be thrilled. Because for the first time, the person wearing number 8 is getting praise. Like, way to go, number 8! You're looking great out there, number 8! And Dylan's like, oh, thanks.
So yesterday I said,
oh, that's not for me?
What's
that's
that guy,
for the good
what's
number
that guy
8?
thinking when he's looking over there? It's like, I'm sorry. He's a defensive end, and he's not even allowed to wear number 8, and you gave him my number.
Wait, for my entire career, everybody's been talking bad about number 8 and saying, hey, number 8, you screwed up. Hey, number 8, you're not looking great out there. Hey, number 8, get it all together. Now there's a bunch of praise for number 8.
Todd said nice things about Dylan.
He has to. He has to. He also said nice things about Shador, and Shador was one of the worst quarterbacks in NFL history last year.
Well, yes, that technically is correct. We had Chris Easterling with us last segment. Chris asked Jared Verse to describe his style of play, and this is a goodie.
It's violent. It's very violent. It's very mean. It's very, why are you in my way? I play angry because I'm like, why do you think you can block me? And if you get the best of me, oh, so you're game playing for me. All right, so I got something else for you. Like, it's a very violent game when you're against me.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a comment right there.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing that you hear about him, right? Whether it's Rams writers or national writers, they talk about just the effort that he plays with on a down-to-down basis and how violent he is, and can he set a different kind of culture for this organization? Because for all the things that you can say about Myles Garrett, the football player, I think we have enough evidence that he wasn't really the leader that the Browns needed him to be. And your best players are not always your leaders. You have to have guys who are willing to take that kind of role and have that kind of mentality. And it just kind of felt like, as great as Myles was, I mean, one of the best defensive players ever, he didn't feel like the tone-setting leader, the culture-setting leader. And that's the thing that you hear about this guy. And maybe that will resonate different in the locker room. I don't know if that's going to lead to more wins or anything along those lines, but behind the scenes, you're starting to see at least signs that maybe he can be that kind of guy, right?
We've heard some things about leadership since this whole Myles Garrett trade went down. And, I don't know that guys are paid to be leaders, should be leaders. Some guys are players and not necessarily leaders. That, just because you're really good
right,
and highly paid doesn't mean you come with leadership abilities or that you have to be a leader. But I think everybody likes that, don't you think, Chris?
I do think that, yeah. Makes it easier that way.
It does. When your best players are not leaders, or maybe leaders to the extent you want them to be, sometimes problematic. Whether Myles was or wasn't, I wasn't in the locker room. I don't know, but people have speculated that maybe he wasn't the leader that folks expected or wanted him to be. I think that's a fair way of putting it. Todd Monken was asked about the Myles trade. First thing he said when he was asked was like, "I don't have any comment." Andrew said everything. It's like, okay, we know you never coached the guy. We know you didn't talk to him because we've heard all
never
about
met
that.
him.
No, yeah, all I know is I schemed against him. But he did make, after he said I have no comment, thankfully he made a few comments, including this one.
I don't think there's any reason for me to comment. I thought Andrew addressed it yesterday, and we're excited to have Jared here. I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said. We're excited about Jared for our teams now and the picks for our future.
Okay, so he basically blew it off. Never did talk about Myles as, what kind of a player Myles was, whatever. And in fairness, he never coached him.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think he could have generically said it was clear what Myles meant to this organization. It was clear how good of a player he is. But I don't blame him for that. It's not like if he would have been with the Ravens for 4 years or something along those lines and then was asked to comment on a player that he had actually coached. That's different. I don't mind this one because the person who should be answering those questions is Andrew Berry, because he was the one who orchestrated the trade. He was the one who was here with Myles Garrett. He was the one who, his decision-making led the Browns down this path. And I think that's my only problem with this trade. And I don't think I have a problem with this trade necessarily. I understand exactly why it happened. I know the situation that they were in. But it's bothersome that their own missteps forced them to make this kind of trade. And had they made better decisions,
that's well put.
Had they made better decisions, they don't have to do this.
In other words, you have your quarterback. You have other talent on the offensive side of the ball.
You have a roster that's ready to do something other than hope for 5-12.
And capitalize on the skills of arguably the best defensive player in the game.
Yeah. I
keep going back, and I've mentioned for some time, this is not about Myles. This is about where the team is, exactly what you said, Chris. With Myles Garrett, they won 8 games in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He did his part, and it shows you
exactly right.
It shows you with a defensive end who's all worldly, you're not going to win a bunch of games if you don't have the rest of the team. And you had a defense that was actually pretty darn good for 2 of the last 3 years, and yet you still didn't win football games. Now, you have the defensive rookie of the year from 2 years ago now in Jared Verse, and you have last year's defensive rookie of the year in Carson Schlesinger. If you're looking for players to say, man, I can't believe we lost Myles and he's not here or whatever, and lament the fact that this trade has gone down. I don't know that we're going to get that. Why might be a question, but Carson Schlesinger at the Browns golf outing was asked about the Myles trade, and here's what he had to say.
I mean, you're obviously, you know nothing about it, and so you have a little bit of surprise, but When you find it out, especially with the player, with Jared coming in, I think we're getting a great player. And, at the end of the day, we go ahead and focus on the 11 that we're putting out on defense. And so I'm looking forward to being able to get to work with him and get him in this defense and get rolling.
That seemed pretty nonchalant, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that what it should be? If you're a player reacting to it, probably so.
Yeah, I think
you can't
the players
say, I can't
aren't.
believe my team traded away Myles Garrett.
I think the players are in a tough spot. Because I do think, to some level, this is a shocking thing when it happens. Not that it came out of nowhere, Jeff. Not that there weren't signs that this was possible when everything was renegotiated and restructured with his contract.
Yeah.
But if you're Carson Schwessinger, right? You come into the NFL and you play alongside Myles Garrett, and what you see is one of the best defensive players in NFL history. And you're probably thinking to yourself, no chance he gets traded. How could they possibly trade that? You know what I'm saying? And then they do. And then they do. And you're like, okay, I guess this is how it's going to be. I guess this is the business. It's really your first introduction to the business side of sports.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it to a drastic level, given who Myles Garrett is and who he was for this franchise.
If you're a player, you look at a lot of different things, teammates, and you think, I like this, I don't like that. You keep it to yourself. I can learn from this guy. I can learn from that guy. If you're a defensive player on the Browns, forget other aspects of Myles Garrett, good, bad, whatever, however they're interpreted by his team. You couldn't help but watch his productivity and think, holy, whatever. And I need to emulate that.
Yeah.
And I need to step it up.
Yeah.
Because look what that guy is doing. And that to me, Chris, that's leadership more than anything else. I don't need somebody to go rah-rah on me. I need somebody to play his you-know-what off.
I think that's fair.
And to emulate that.
I think that's fair. I also think it's fair for these guys to not go overboard in their love for Myles as he walks out the door, because there's a new teammate that they have to welcome here. Maybe it's a little bit different if it's just a draft pick heavy thing and you have nothing else that's coming to your team, but you have to embrace this new guy, Jared Verse, and you can't make it seem like he's replacing this football god. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Verse comes in. I mentioned the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and so you have the last two, Verse and Schwessinger. And Verse had this to say about Schwessinger.
Man, that boy can fly. He can work. I like that a lot. I like knowing that behind me, that I don't got much to worry about. If something, I can play freely because I don't have to worry if something gets by me. He's going to be able to handle that. He's going to be able to clean everything up. So now that's the exciting factor of this.
Jared talked about flying a lot.
He had just gotten off a plane. Can you blame him?
He likes pilots, apparently. These boys can fly.
I do think we have to be careful, the collective we, because we have talked about this so many different times, Jeff.
Yeah.
There are levels to greatness, okay?
Yeah.
And the best defensive player in the NFL is way, way, way different and way, way, way better than like the 10th best defensive player in the NFL.
That's really true.
So you're going to look at these things and you're going to be like, Jared Verse, okay, here's his odds in Defensive Player of the Year. Here's what he can theoretically bring to this team. He's not Myles. He's not going to be Myles. He can't be looked at as Myles because Myles is significantly better. It's almost like comparing Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Donovan Mitchell. Donovan is a great player. He's a top 15 player, but one guy's an MVP and a champion. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
One guy is a sack leader, and the other guy, Rookie of the Year. Really, really nice.
Coming on.
The things that he's accomplished early in his career, really, really nice. We're talking Myles Garrett here. There is a level to greatness, and he is, 5 floors above Jared Verse, if you want to look at it that way. Yeah. Maybe 10.
At least for now. And you have to assume you have to assume, this isn't fair, but I'm going to assume, for the entirety of his career. If Jared Verse can ever reach Myles Garrett level, congratulations, Jared Verse.
Exactly right.
Because Myles is a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
And if Jared Verse could become a Hall of Fame talent, even if he becomes a Hall of Fame talent, let me go Dion on you. Dion's comment I thought was absolutely right years ago when he said, Hall of Fame, this is a Hall of Very Good.
Yes.
It's not just a Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And there are a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame, all Hall of Fames, who were very good.
Yes.
How many of them are actually like at the pinnacle?
Yeah.
Not very many.
Do we think we're going to have any conversations about the possibility of Jared Verse maybe one day being in the conversation as the best pass rusher that has ever played in the NFL? I don't.
You hate to put that limitation on a young guy, but no, you would think, no, you're certainly not going to have that conversation.
We're having those about Myles.
Yeah.
And we should be having those about Myles because he earned it.
Yep. Doesn't mean Verse can't come in here and help you win football games.
Of course he can help.
And the trade makes you a better team.
Yes.
You know,
that's what the trade is about.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not about did we get a better defensive end. It's are we going to be a better team after taking this draft capital and hopefully investing it in whatever.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yes. Can we create
and we become a better team.
A better, more complete roster.
Because with the possibly best pass rusher ever, you won 5 games last year.
And that's their fault.
Yep.
And the fact that they had to recoup, or they felt like they had to recoup these draft picks because they threw them away, because they wasted them, because they pulled off the worst trade in NFL history, that's on them. You know why? You know why Milwaukee?
That was the Baskin sigh, by the way.
You know why Milwaukee is looking at trading Giannis? Because they have no other options. Because of their blunderous decisions, they put themselves in that position. And it's the same thing with the Browns. It's unfortunate, but it's the same thing. Their blunderous decisions put them in a position where they felt like, hey, we have to do this. We have to trade this caliber player.
We had this caliber player and didn't do enough to capitalize on his skills.
Nope.
And Milwaukee did once. I give them credit for that. They did win a title.
And then what happened?
Well, then it fell off the face of the earth. And
they traded for Dame. They signed Myles Turner to a ridiculous contract.
They give Damian so much money.
Kyle Kuzma, here's $25 million. Yeah. They made a bunch of missteps after that point that led them to a decision that said, hey, we only have one way out of this. We have only one way to recoup value that we've lost along the way.
If we want to move this forward, we have to take a step back.
Yes.
By trading our best player.
And that's the thing for the Browns. They can make this a successful trade without Jared Verse being Myles Garrett or being at that level or close to that level.